today let's learn to save morning glory seeds. My plants, they started dying back in October and seed pods were largely ready at the end of the season. The variety that I'm working with is Keiryu Mountain Stream Morning Glory, and this is it in bloom. Once the flower blooms, pollinators visit, the green pods begin forming. The pods are green for quite a long time. You don't want to harvest them until they're mature, so while green, it's a no-go. As you can see, I had tons of green pods in midsummer. It flowered prolifically, and pollinators absolutely loved it. The foliage is striking on this variety. You can see the variegated coloration. As you can see in this next clip, the pods are brown and crispy when ripe. The seeds will turn black inside. If you go to open a pod and the seeds are still white, then they are not ready. Pods seem to start ripening as the plant dies back. Many of them actually ripened all at once for me. The pods pop off whole, making collection easy, so they kind of pop off like a little berry would. Some of them you really have to twist and bend, some you have to cut off, but for the most part, the pods will come off whole. Once you bring the pods back inside, the husks will pop apart fairly easily. They're very papery and brittle. When you pop them open, you'll reveal an average of 6 seeds within. I've seen anywhere from 1 to 9 per pod, but most have 5 to 7 seeds with 6 on average. In the middle, there's a thin papery husk between the seeds with 2 seeds per little compartment. Once I harvest them, I let the seeds dry for an additional 3 to 5 days. Once the seeds are totally dry, I chuck them into a plastic bag, I label them, and I'm going to save them for next year.
Look at the size of that. It is definitely not hard to see why this is my favorite flower. I mean, just look at this beauty. She's gorgeous. These have been easily the coolest flower that I've grown this year. Just look at the flower and look at the leaves.
Keiryu Mountain Stream Morning Glory is not only expensive to purchase as seed, it's also regarded as a shy seed producer, but it most definitely wasn't shy for me. Perhaps we have the perfect climate and growing season for it because I really didn't do anything extra to make it happy. Native clay soil, most likely compacted right against an old clothesline post that we plan to remove. All I did was scratch the dirt just enough to get the plants in, covered them, and mulched them. Aside from weeding in the first month of its life, when feeding and a bit of assistance, training it upwards, it was left to fend for itself. I'm going to do a final seed harvest in about a week and rip out the dead vines. There were several green pods left that may have viable seed. However, I've already saved a crazy amount of seed from the 2 vines I grew, and this seed will be used for trading and for establishing a much larger patch of these beauties next year. I originally obtained 4 little seeds in trade, planted only 2, and saved 2, and I produce all of this seed. Questions about our climate and my plants? Well, I transplanted them out in May. Transplanting is usually a bad idea for morning glories, but these were a special circumstance. They grew and began flowering at around 3 feet tall, maybe in July. They began producing seed and dying in September, with 80 to 90% of the seed crop ripening in late October. And the plant fully died back with the first frost in early November, about 2 weeks ahead of our first frost date, which is not unusual. If you would like to trade or have any additional questions, just drop me a comment. Thank you all for watching and supporting my channel.